I'm going to give the sermon now, just giving you a little heads up about that. And my friend Scott Weiss is always so good about recording it and putting it up on that great internet in the sky. So if anybody misses it, they can get it. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Amy. And you notice something a little bit different this year when you came to the service, for those of you who have been coming for several years. And as Jeff said, we have a growing congregation, people who have been here, what we call the Vatikim, the people who came from the very beginning, 36 years ago, and came along the way, and then other people who have come over the years. And tomorrow, when we call people to the Torah, we're going to call the Vatikim, the honored founders and elders of our community, to the Torah for the first Aliyah. And then we'll call some of our newer members who have joined with us during the past year or years. Quite a thing. But the thing that you may not, maybe for those who are coming for the first time, didn't recognize that we have a heightened sense of security. A heightened sense of security. And just as I was saying that, who would walk in but our beloved friend Esther? Esther, who served so well in the Sahal, Israeli Defense Forces, and now joins her father here on this holy day. Thank you so much for your service. You know, we had extra security. We went through a device, as you are pretty familiar, if you go Husky games, you go to the Mariners, that's not so unusual to go through a metal detector. We're kind of used to that. But that's not the way it has always been in our Jewish community. And with my help of Julian, I want you to show a photograph that I asked you to prepare. This is the boy standing in the back is my grandfather with his family around the year 1895 in Warsaw. His name was Isaac Yitzhak. And with his family, soon after this picture was taken, he came to America, along with not thousands, not hundreds of thousands, but millions of other immigrants, Jewish, Irish, Polish, Italian. But I'm talking about the Jewish community. They came here, and why did they come here? Many reasons, but the main reason they came here was to escape the anti-Semitism that permeated their lives, because they have so many things that they were not able to do in the old country, so many barriers, so much prejudice, and yes, some violence too, even then, with pogroms. They came here to find a better place, and they did. They did. It's a wonderful life for many, many years. And I'm standing here today because of him. Now, what did they find in America? Let me just show you the next photograph. You can see it. It's that is our synagogue, our temple, back in Long Island, New York. The year is 1936. This is the other side of my family, because a rabbi standing there, if you can see him, with the talit, and the person, two persons to his right is a woman who was kind of tall at that time, but she was 16 years old, my mother, Joan. And she was experiencing her confirmation on the holiday of Shavuos in Limerick, New York, with Rabbi Harold Saperstein of blessed memory, my mother of blessed memory, who was not only her rabbi as a very young man, but also my rabbi. He was with our congregation for 50 years. Now, 1936. I'm sure that they were aware of what was going on in Europe at that time. My mother was born in America, but everyone was aware something was happening. They knew about the rise of Hitler, the Nazi Party, but they could not possibly imagine at that very festive occasion, with all the flowers and accoutrements, that within the next 10 years, 6 million Jews would be murdered in the old country where my grandfather came from. 6 million Jews. Do you know that in 1939, there were 15 million Jews in the world? Now there are 15 million Jews in the world because 6 million were taken from us. We barely could come back to that number. We would have so many more. Rabbi Saperstein is a book about him and some of his colleagues were among the Jewish chaplains who served in Europe during the war and during liberation. And then he came back and told the stories of what he saw. But I'll tell you something. Those people in our temple, Temple Emmanuel of Limerick, and all the other temples and synagogues in 1936, and even after the war in 1946, 1956, 1986, none of them had any security when they came to the synagogue. When I came to the temple, when I was a little boy, I had no sense of being in danger. There was no Charles like we have our wonderful security guy out there. No Charles there. There was no going through any type of scrutiny or registration. Anyone could come in, and no one was afraid. Things have changed radically over the last several years. The amount of what has sometimes been called, and you can't avoid the expression, anti-Semitism, but what I call Jew hatred has increased exponentially. Exponentially. And the dangers that we face, and of course we know that from the Federation shooting in 2006, there are people out there. And that's why we have the security that we have. But there's no perfect security. We come here, we know there's a risk. But we're here anyhow. Now, let me tell you something. I am very much in favor of having the most security that we possibly can. Because I care about you, I care about myself. But I'm not going to be cowed and not come to the temple, not come to the synagogue. I'm going to come no matter what. I also want to say to the people on Zoom, and they might be on Zoom for many different reasons. Some maybe have a cold, maybe COVID. But any of us, if we feel insecure, every one of our services is also by Zoom. So you have that option, and I would say, yes, you will, not that there aren't accidents in your home, but you're a lot safer at home, statistically, than you are coming here. No doubt about it. Now, there have been shootings, and there have been violence in our synagogues, and we have to be aware of that. That is a reality. And I am telling you now, that is not going to change. But we have to do everything in our power to fight against that hatred. The hatred that my grandfather experienced in Europe, that the people who went through the Shoah, the Holocaust, experienced in a tragic way. I'm going to speak about Israel on Yom Kippur morning. I'm not going to speak about Israel today. It's a totally different topic. I'm talking about us, anti-Semitism here, Jew hatred here. But it's also, we have to recognize, and Esther knows this so well, in terms of the number of Jews murdered, civilians, because they are Jews or were Jews, 1,000 times more in Israel than in America. That's a fact. Israel is a different place. They're much more vulnerable, and they also have much higher security. They have to. But 1,000 times more. Bombings, intifada, every day, every week you hear about it. So you have to be realistic about that. But that's a different topic. I'm talking about us. Anti-Semitism, Jew hatred is not going away. But we can do a lot about it by working with our neighbors, our friends. We're here at the Saltwater Unitarian Church. We have the Haitian Christian Church. We work with them. They work with us. We have respect. But there are people who don't like us, that don't love us, people that hate us. But I will also say this. Anti-Semitism, Jew hatred finds many different manifestations. But that line between hating us, going back to Shakespeare, Charles Dickens, it's endemic, but there's a world of difference between hating us, which we'll try to overcome, and the smaller group of people who hate us so much that they would come to kill us. It's a big difference. We have security out there not because of Jew hatred, not because people don't like us, not because people are afraid of us, not because people think we control this, control that. That's endemic. Not because someone puts a swastika on the side of a synagogue, as terrible as that is, or publishes a tract or makes fun of a kid in school, and I'm sure that everybody had that. We could talk about that. We're here in our securities because there are some people, because we are Jews, or we're married to a Jew, or part of the Jewish community, want to kill us. And we're going to do everything we can to keep us safe. But that small percentage of people who are out there, who hate us so much that they will not hesitate to kill us. Just like that man did when he came to the Jewish Federation on July 28th, 2006, out from eastern Washington with a gun, and he shot 6 of us and murdered one of us. One of us. Pam Wechter, my friend. Those are the people that really we have to be on guard. I'm not trying to get you to be afraid, just telling you the reality. We have to do everything we can to work to overcome, with the help of law enforcement when we need them, with the help of our own security that we hire, but also with our own vigilance, to make sure that as much as possible, when our children come here, when our adults come here, when Eitan comes here, God bless him, when Martha comes here and she understands the hatred of transgender people. There's a lot of hatred out there. And when Esther comes here, when you come here, we want you to be safe. Now, Hannah came here from South America to find a new world, to find a new home. She's studying, learned English. We need to protect her. We need to protect all of us, particularly our children, because that's who we are. So if we have to pay a little bit more for security, so be it. If we have to be more vigilant, so be it. If we have to go through a metal detector, so be it. If we have to be circumspect about who comes into our services, that's also what we must do. It's a new year. We want to be celebratory. We want to be excited. We want to be hopeful. We want to be loving, and we are. We want to take care of each other, and we will. But we also have to do everything in our power to make sure we're safe. And so it's up to Jeff Groshon as our president, security committee, Ken, our chairperson, all of us, to make sure that we're safe. Now, I want to say I really appreciate Miriam. I really appreciate Amy. I appreciate our choir, everyone who's enhancing our life as Jews, giving us beauty. I know virtually everybody in this sanctuary. Virtually, I met a few new people today. You're always welcome. You don't have to be a member to be here. You're always welcome. If you join ours, you're always welcome. If you're a visitor, always welcome. We will do everything in our power to make you feel welcome, to embrace you, to make you feel love, and make you feel safe. And my prayer is very, very simple. Zok Reinu, remember us unto life. Melech hafetz b'chayim, God who embraces life. V'chodvenu b'sefer hachayim, and inscribe us in the book of life. L'ma'ancha Elohim hayim, for your sake, O God, and also for our sake. Ken yehi ratzon. Amen. All right, my friends. Thanks for listening and thanks for being here. And Scott, thank you for recording, and I appreciate it. Now,